Once upon a time, in a quiet village, tucked between rolling hills and ancient woods, there lived a poor miller with 3 sons. When the old miller died, his meager belongings were divided. The eldest son received the mill, the second son received the donkey, and the youngest son, whose name was Thomas, was left with nothing but a cat. Just a cat? Thomas had sighed. What good is a cat to me? I cannot eat it. It cannot pull a cart, and it certainly cannot help me find work. But the cat, who was lounging on a windowsill and licking its paw, suddenly stretched, yawned, and said, "My dear master, if you give me a pair of boots and a bag, I shall make your fortune." Thomas blinked. You can talk?" "Yes," the cat replied, hopping down and bowing with a flourish. "I am no ordinary feline. Give me what I ask for, and I promise you shall not regret it." Having little to lose and some coins to spare from selling his old tunic, Thomas took the last of his money and bought a pair of sturdy leather boots and a sack. The cat pulled on the boots with surprising grace, slung the bag over his shoulder, and set out toward the forest. Now, this cat was cleverer than any beast you've ever met, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He filled the bag with grain and herbs and set it by a tree where rabbits often gathered. Then he lay in wait. Soon enough, a plump rabbit hopped in and found the meal irresistible. The moment it entered the sack, the cat pulled the drawstring tight. Whistling a merry tune, Puss in Boots strode to the royal palace, where he requested an audience with the king. The guards snickered at the sight. A talking cat in boots with a bag slung over one shoulder? But they brought him in, curiosity piqued. "I bring a gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas," Puss said, bowing low and presenting the rabbit. "He sends this token of admiration to your majesty." The king, who was fond of flattery and roasted game, was delighted. "Tell your master we are most grateful," he said, stroking his beard. "This Marquis of Carabas. What an excellent name!" Over the next few days, Puss continued his ruse. He caught partridges, pheasants, and wild duck, each time presenting them to the king as gifts from his mysterious master. The king grew ever more intrigued. Then one day, the cat learned that the king would be taking his daughter, the lovely Princess Mirabelle, on a carriage ride along the river. The cat raced home to Thomas. "Master, your luck is about to change. Do exactly as I say. Go down to the river, remove your clothes, and pretend to be drowning." Thomas hesitated, but after weeks of strange miracles thanks to his feline companion, he obeyed. As the royal carriage passed the river, Puss ran into the road, waving his arms and yowling in panic. "Help! Help! My master, the noble Marquis of Carabas, is drowning!" The king ordered his coachman to stop at once. The guards leapt from their horses and pulled Thomas from the water, dripping and confused. "He was bathing," Puss explained breathlessly, "when a thief stole his clothes. My poor master, soaked and humiliated." The king, recognizing the name, immediately offered a set of fine garments from his own royal wardrobe. Thomas was dressed in velvet and silk, and when Princess Mirabelle saw him, tall, handsome, and grateful, she couldn't help but blush. "Would you join us on our ride, noble Marquis?" the king asked. "With pleasure," Thomas stammered, and into the carriage he climbed. Meanwhile, Puss started ahead of the royal party, crossing fields and farms. Whenever he met a group of workers, he warned them, "If the king asks whose land this is, you must say it belongs to the Marquis of Carabas. If you do not, a terrible ogre will devour you in your sleep." Frightened and convinced, the peasants agreed. So when the king's carriage rolled by, and he asked, "To whom do these lush fields belong?" the workers replied in chorus, "To the Marquis of Carabas, your majesty." The king was impressed. "What fertile land! Your estate must be enormous," he said to Thomas, who could only nod nervously. But the truth was, all the land belonged to a wicked ogre who lived in a towering stone castle on the hill. The cat knew he had to take care of this last piece of the puzzle. He arrived at the ogre's castle and knocked boldly on the door. A servant opened it, raising an eyebrow at the sight of a cat in boots. "I've heard," said Puss, "that your master can do astonishing things. They say he can transform into any animal." The ogre, overhearing this, boomed from his hall, "Indeed I can. Behold!" With a flash, the ogre turned into a lion, roaring so loud the windows shook. "Oh, remarkable," said the cat, barely hiding his fear. "But tell me, can you become something small as well? Say, a mouse?" The ogre grinned. "Easily." In an instant, he was gone, and in his place, a tiny mouse sat on the floor. Quick as a blink, Puss pounced and swallowed the mouse whole. The castle was now his. When the king's carriage approached the gates, Puss ran out to greet them. "Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas," he announced with a sweeping bow. The king's jaw dropped. "You didn't tell us you owned such a fine estate, Marquis." Thomas stammered something unintelligible, too stunned to speak. They feasted that night in the grand hall. Puss oversaw the servants, directing them with dignity, and made sure that the story of the noble Marquis's generosity and grace was whispered into every royal ear. Before the evening ended, the king pulled Thomas aside. "You know," he said, smiling, "a man with such charm and wealth would make a fine match for my daughter." Princess Mirabelle, sitting nearby with stars in her eyes, gave a gentle nod. And so it was that Thomas, the poor miller's son, married the princess and became a prince. The castle was his, the lands were his, and his best advisor remained a witty, boot-wearing cat who napped in sunbeams and chased palace mice for sport. As for Puss in Boots, he never had to hunt again, though he sometimes did just for fun. And they all lived happily ever after.